Alright, hold on. I gotta calm down immediately. I said I gotta calm down immediately because this is a rant. And I gotta look at the notes for this. But I'm gonna get it out the way real quick. This is a rant. This is called My List Top 5 Underrated Final Girls. And I made this topic because these people play a special part in my heart. And they don't get the credit they deserve, in my opinion. When excuse me, I'm sorry. When you hear Final Girl, personally, what comes to my mind is Laurie Strode, number one. Ellen Ripley from Aliens. Nothing, I think of Nancy Thompson from Nightmare on Elm Street. And believe it or not, the best final boy of all time, I think of Andy Barclay because I love Child's Play franchise so much. You can say Hermione Granger is damn near a final girl for Surviving Baltimore. But my whole point is, when you think of final girl, it's only 3, 4, maybe 5 who we all know deserve their spots and they are the GOATs. But it's also final girls that either came before them or, to me, on a level. Some of these final girls, I'm going to explain every time I get to them where they at and how I feel about them personally. Starting number 5. Jessie from Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. I'm sorry. Every time I ever in my life talked about this, everybody know Nightmare on Elm Street. I love Saw and I love Leatherface. But Nightmare on Elm Street is number 1 over both of them. I told y'all that. And I always say sometime I said it and I meant it. When I binge these, sometimes I skip over too. And I just recently had to stop that because too many people get this movie a bad rap because of more than it's not. My reasoning is it's not Freddy. He don't possess bodies. He don't come to parties. And I still stand by that. But the movie is actually one of the scariest. My favorite is 3. It's scarier than 3. It's scarier than 4 or 5. Only one that's not really scarier than, to me, is 1 and The New Nightmare. But this is one of the scariest movies. And Jesse as a final boy, to me, I didn't like all the screaming. It made sense because of his sexuality. But it seemed to me like he played the role great for what they directed. He didn't ad-lib these lines and scream all them times on his own. He did his job. And the movie is gay as hell, no doubt. I ain't homophobic. But the movie is purely gay. And that's why that's what you think of it when you think of Nightmare Part 2, is the gay one. But his performance was actually great. Moving on. Demon Knights, I got Jada Pinkett as Geraldine. I don't care what people feel. How I know she emasculate Will Smith. She make him look bad in public. The kids kind of weird, but that's their life. They swingers, they rich, they do what they want, they Hollywood. I don't care about the personal aspects. Like, my favorite rappers is Wayne and Slim Shady. They got, questionable personal, life choices, but I love their music as rappers. I'm judging the actress, not Jada Pinkett Smith. She's a piece of crap to a lot of people. Some things she do I disagree with also with the people, what they say about her. But she in my favorite movie ever, no doubt. Set It Off. If you watch my channel enough, you know. Horror is my favorite genre. But I love gangster shit, bank robbery movie, Heat, whatever. Set It Off is my favorite movie ever, and her as Stoney is classic. I like her in Jada Pitt. I like her in Jason Lyrics also. And I love her in this. You know what I'm saying? She in some classic movies, especially black cinema wise. But her as Geraldine, to me, is the total arc of a character. She was the, you know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna go through the synopsis of the movie, but from where she started the movie to where she ended the movie was character growth. And this is an underrated movie, but it's so high on my list. I love it. Like Rose Red, one of Stephen King's lesser known movies that I love to death. But Geraldine on the list at number 4, one of the most underrated final girls ever. Number three, I mean, this was controversy even to myself. I had to go Night of the Living Dead, Barbara. And I know she is purely a damsel in distress. Clearly. She don't do nothing from the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie far as character development. And in times, it was in the 68. In that era, you lucky to star as the lead of a movie and get top billing. So damsel in distress role was the best you can get. The remake that had Tony Todd, she was way more a tougher bitch than this Barbara. But why I got her as the most underrated final girl is because she one of the original concepts of final girl. This wasn't the psycho shower scene. She one of the original concepts of what a final girl is. The development from her kept going to where we get a Neve Campbell from Scream. We get a Laurie Strode, where now we expect our final girl to be, even if she fucking, less sluttier, she can handle herself under the pressure, and she adapts to situations movie after movie. This was the precursor to all of that, so I give her respect, and the movie is great to me. Excuse me for the cough. Number two, this ain't no surprise. This could have been number one. Everybody knows by now. Candyman Part 1, still 38 years of my life, is the scariest movie I ever seen in my life. If I saw Candyman Part 1 for the first time ever at my age, I don't think it'd be the scariest movie I ever saw. The scariest movie I ever saw as an adult, shockingly, is The Exorcist of Emily Rose. That's why I said this controversially. I think that's better than the original Exorcist. You know what I'm saying? That's very controversial. Like me liking Jason Takes Manhattan the most out of all that franchise. But I'm getting off topic. Candyman is the scariest movie I ever saw in my life, period. No matter what happens, it's going to always be a movie that haunted my dreams for months on end. This guy was terrifying. And Helen as a final girl, to me, she do not get the respect. For one, Part 1 is the only movie that's great. The remake is acceptable, but I feel like I like 2 more than the remake because I'm a real Candyman lore. I know it. The remake is good, it's flashy, it's nice, but I still like 2 better than that personally. But Helen, her arc from the beginning to end, she changed from beginning to end. That's the key for character development. Her obsession, the lure, how she fought Candyman. She never was afraid to go to the Cabrini Projects in the 90s. Like, her character arc, her determination as a journalist, and her cheating ass husband, Gregory from Walking Dead, he get his comeuppance. He Trevor in this. Like, I'm telling you, I love Helen. I mean, and then Virginia Madsen. When I was a boy, I thought she was sexy. Like, when she's in the bathtub scene, the water all milky looking. As a young boy, 8 or 9, I'm thinking, damn, I don't know sexuality, but I know she looking good. Now, as a grown man, I'm like, God damn, I'll tear that up. Stop it. A little too sexual. But anyways, I love Virginia Madsen also. She bad as fuck. Number 1. I mean, I said number 2, Helen could have been number 1, but number 1 is damn sure deserving. And this is one of my favorite franchises of all time. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Sally Hardesty. Now, the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where they bring her back, like, they trying to copy off the Halloween Kill shit with the Laurie Strode. The difference is the real Marilyn Barnes is deceased, R.I.P. Unlike, you know what I'm saying, Laurie Strode. I can't think of her name for some reason. I can't believe it. But you know who I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? She's still alive and kicking from the very first Halloween. That's Jamie Lee Curtis. Sorry, slap myself for that. She's still alive, well kicking, great, brilliant at what she do. So her longevity and lore fit better. So they trying to bring Sally Hardesty back for the Netflix one and then kill her off. I kind of disregard that. I'm talking about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Everything I said about Night of the Living Dead, Barbara, applies to Sally times 100. because her character arc didn't have a great start to end. Smoke break. I don't know if I need it. I'm already joking. She didn't have a great, you know what I'm saying, Nancy Thompson, Nightmare on Elm Street 1 to 2 or 1 or 3. You know what I'm saying? But what happened was she was more proactive and reactive than Barbara. Like, she ran through the forest, you know what I'm saying? She fought her way through the house when they was all torturing her. She didn't do a bunch of like shooting or stabbing or a bunch of heroic things, but 99% of the situations that the Sawyers or Hewitt family get in, they kill the victim. She was one of the few who ever got out of that. And she also was one of the real, because when you're thinking out of the Living Dead, Barbara, that wasn't a slasher final girl. It was a horror final girl. This was the first slasher, butcher knife, mass, unspeaking killer type slasher from the 80s where she finally survived. That's why I look at her as like a OG level final girl. Now, her development never happened like a Nancy or a Laurie Strode. But this franchise continuity is terrible. It's only the remake and the beginning that Michael Bay made are continuity. The new Netflix might come out with 2 or 3 that have continuity that match. That'd be the most ever. I heard 2 more coming out. That'd be the most movies ever made in a row that continuity sticks. That'd be 3 if this Netflix happened. And I'm praying. Because